Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Outside Perspective with me, Adam Meredith. I am in San Francisco, and it's been a good time so far. Now, if you watch the news, you may know, well, actually, you don't really know when I'm here based off of when you actually listen to this. So, I am here, and there are some fucking fires going on in California. So there's some down in Southern California, excuse me, near I don't think LA, San Diego, just all South California, and then I am in San Francisco, and north of San Francisco, there's a fucking forest fire started by a campfire. One singular campfire started a fucking forest fire and something like 90,000 acres, I think. Whenever I saw the news, one of the rare times I watched the news, 90,000 acres is burning. So crazy shit, man. Man, yeah. California definitely needs to, keep up with Smokey the Bear and protect fucking forest fires. Make sure you put out your campfires. That's some crazy stuff. But yeah, so because of that, there is a lot of smoke in the air. So my time here so far has been great. It's been good. But you can't fucking breathe outside, unfortunately. And I spent most of today actually outside walking around. I still got out there, and you had some people wearing some masks, and we tried to get some, but they were all sold out at most of these like Walgreens and CVS and different little corner stores. So air quality isn't good right now, but still taking in the city. And I like San Francisco. It is a very diverse city, and I love it. I like places where I don't feel like I'm being judged. And man, I love where I'm from, and sometimes I feel like it may come off like maybe I rag on it a little bit too much. But the fact of the matter is, it is an area where if you stand out, people you definitely feel it, and it's not as it's not as eclectic. I don't know if that's the best word I want to use, but it's the word I'm using. So you just don't have a wide range and variety of people like you do here anyway. So it's cool to be in that environment. I love environments like that. That's one of the reasons why I love Austin so much. I've been to that city 3 times this year already. I'm going back next year, or not next year, next week. Next weekend I'll be in Austin for a certification, and I love that place. And it's just another one, it's just another place where you go, and it's an active city, and people are being healthy, and everybody's just doing their thing, and it's just very positive vibes, and you're a bunch of fucking weirdos, and for me, it fit right in. So San Francisco's been great. I definitely enjoy seeing all the different people. I've heard one person explain San Francisco as, they didn't have the best experience coming here. They explained it to me like, man, dude, there's just a lot of homeless people and it smells like piss everywhere. And there's definitely some smells, like with any city. And there are homeless people, just like I would imagine any really nice place is. If I didn't have a place to live and stay, I would probably live in a fucking place that's really nice too. So, and I don't know if that's necessarily a detractor of the city. I just think it's just a part of the experience. You know what I mean? When you take it all in as a whole, it just adds to the beauty, and it's just a part of the experience. Like I said, so there is that. But one of the things that stuck out to me is the city is very everything is very jam packed, and I haven't done a shit ton of traveling, so like I am in the very beginning of my travels as far as my life journey, and that was something that has stuck out to me. Being in Missouri in the Midwest, there's a lot of space. So here, like all the buildings and everything is just jam packed, super close together, and that kind of really stuck out to me. So it's been pretty cool. This is my first time in California on the West Coast, in San Francisco. So this is just all a great experience, and I think so far this is a beautiful city all in all. Spent a lot of time walking around the piers today, and just checking out the sights and the people. So it's a beautiful thing. So liking this city. And being that I'm in California, I'm not too far away from these next guys I want to talk to you about, Jumbo Superfoods. Jumbo Superfoods makes the best CBD products on the market, and I love their Muscle Bomb and I love their spray. I've said this all the time. I use their cinnamon spray for my coffee. I love the uh, the mint spray. Fucking spray it in. It's just a breath mint, basically, and it's CBD, so you're getting amazing benefits. They use all high quality ingredients. They were voted the healthiest edible in the country. They're doing it right. I love Jumbo Superfoods. Now, if you aren't familiar with CBD, let me tell you about it. So, CBD is cannabidiol. It's one of the compounds found in the cannabis plant, and this particular compound has been shown to have um, a ton of medicinal benefits, including reducing inflammation. It helps with mood regulation. It's been used to help with anxiety and depression, some PTSD cases. It can help with epilepsy. There's neuroprotective properties to it. There's just the plant alone has a ton of benefits, and CBD is definitely one of those huge contributing factors. And you don't have to worry about failing a drug test if that is a concern of yours. That is not what would make you actually fail that test. That is a different compound in the same plant, but not what we're talking about. That would be THC. We're talking about CBD. This is not actually a psychoactive compound. So don't worry about that. But if you would like to try CBD, definitely go check out the folks at Jumbo Superfoods. I have a link in the show notes. If you use that, it helps the podcast. I greatly appreciate it. If it's your first time ordering, you can use the code Jumbo Loves You, get 15% off your first order. So go check them out. I want to talk to you guys about oatmeal. Oatmeal is a fantastic carbohydrate source. Carbohydrates have gotten a bad rap, unfortunately. And the fact of the matter is, not all carbohydrates are bad. Now, you do want to cut out the bullshit carbohydrates, the refined processed carbohydrates, the breads, the pastas, the cookies and cakes, and all that shit. Cut that out. That's causing inflammation. That's tearing up your gut microbiome. That's causing nothing but issues. However, depending on the person, everybody's different. We should definitely take an individualized approach when we're talking about nutrition. Some people do just fine with carbohydrates. Now, if you are going to eat carbohydrates, the best way to do that is whole foods. So you want to eat things like potatoes and white rice and quinoa and oatmeal. Oatmeal has a ton of benefits, including a soluble fiber called beta glucan, which can help regulate your blood glucose. Keeping your blood glucose regulated, so avoiding or minimizing those spikes and those crashes in your blood glucose is it's just such an important thing for longevity and just having just living a better and healthier life. Oatmeal is one of the best carbohydrates that you could definitely be consuming. Now, pair that oatmeal with crickets. Hear me out. I know what you're thinking. But crickets are actually a complete protein, and it's an animal protein, so the bioavailability of it is going to be much higher than any plant protein you're going to find. On top of that, it's an extremely sustainable source of protein that actually takes a fraction of the land and water and resources to harvest and grow and harvest crickets. And they are high in iron, vitamin B12. They have a great ratio of omegas. And yeah, so it's actually a pretty powerhouse combo. You can actually get some cricket protein over at cricketcereal.com. Our good friends at Mighty Cricket, they make a few different flavors, so check them out. They have a cinnamon apple, coconut cream, and a dark cocoa. And they aren't filled with all the junk and all the nonsense and all the fillers, all the bullshit. You're getting all high quality ingredients, and they taste delicious. 1 or 2 minutes in the microwave, boom, you have breakfast and you're ready to start your day. It's a perfect way to go. So check them out at cricketcereal.com and get yours today. Now, for the last bit of housekeeping, for everybody that has left a review, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you haven't, please go over and do so. Get on to Apple Podcasts, leave a rating, leave a review. If you're not listening on Apple Podcasts, whichever platform you're listening on, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, whatever the case may be, please leave a rating and a review. They help immensely. Also, subscribe if you aren't subscribed. Thank you guys. My guest today is Coach Vishal Kumar. He is an educator and coach here in the Bay Area. He specializes in mobility and movement, and he uses a lot of unconventional modalities such as mace and clubs and kettlebells, and he just has that unconventional approach to fitness. I met Vishal just yesterday whenever we actually recorded the podcast. And we've been interacting a little bit on social. I came across him on Instagram and I fucking love his message. And I think he's just doing a lot of great work in the space. And he's just a genuine human. So it was a real pleasure to connect with him. I have this love hate relationship with social. On the one side, there are the negatives. It can definitely steal your time, and if you let it, it will steal your joy. You'll be so busy comparing yourself to other people. But there is the positive side in that you are able to connect with humans all over the world. So we sat down, we talked. It, we had a great conversation. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So without further ado, give it up for Vishal Kumar. And here we go, Vishal Kumar.
We are live.
We are live. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing pretty well, man. Doing pretty well. It's a gloomy San Francisco day.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice. I like the shift in weather. We definitely need it.
Yeah, it's definitely chill. For the folks listening, let's tell them
Yeah.
what's going on because this isn't like a typically normal day in San Francisco, right?
No, yeah, correct. So, I mean, for those that aren't on the West Coast or in California, California, we have in terms of natural kind of things that occur every once in a while, we get fires.
Right.
And this is why we need the rain. So I think yesterday morning there was a campfire in Butte County, which is about a couple hours north of here. So with the heavy winds, it's just kind of blowing all the smoke south. And so currently we are sitting outside at Dolores Park, and it's a little bit overcasty, and get the smell of smoke.
Yeah, yeah, it's still beautiful though. It's still a beautiful day. It's a little unfortunate that there's a fire, but
Yeah.
these things definitely happen. I wasn't really quite sure because like whenever I checked the weather and
Right.
it said air quality not good, I think it
Right.
said or something like that.
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, what the fuck's going on?
Right.
I didn't know
Right.
what. And then somebody told me that there are fires.
Yeah.
I live under a rock. Like I basically get my news from people.
Right.
So I don't take in like a lot of. I try to like filter like what I get.
Right. Right.
So, but yeah, it's still beautiful. So we're in Dolores Park.
Dolores Park. Yeah.
Why'd you choose here?
Man, this is my spot. This is where, all the weirdos come and hang out, and this is where
Yeah.
I can kind of roll around in the grass, train. We're in the Mission District of San Francisco, so it's kind of where I hang out a lot of good places to eat. I got my favorite acai bowl spot right up the street.
Oh
I
shit,
have my
I have to
favorite
check
health
that out.
food restaurant, down the street. So, yeah, it's just a cool area to come hang out, and a very eclectic mix of people. Um, and yeah, just kind of where I feel more so at home in the city of San Francisco.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I appreciate you inviting me to this space.
Yeah.
It is beautiful here, man. For the folks listening, I mean, we got a big open grassy area, but the park extends like up the road here, and there's hills and just tons of people everywhere. It's just a community.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. It's people out here moving and just enjoying the city.
Yeah, if you come out here on a Sunday, which is like the popular day to come, it'll be packed. I mean, there'll be, 1,000 people out here, thousands of people, and usually kind of the area that we're sitting right now, the flatter area, you'll see, more of the acro yoga community, and, you'll find us kind of the movement community, I guess,
Yeah.
if you want to call it. Yeah, so we'll kind of hang out in this space right here.
Cool. I can dig it. So you teach classes up here.
So currently, yeah, I work at a gym called Epic Hybrid Training. It's a HIIT studio, so high intensity interval training. So I teach some classes there. I'm the head coach, and then yeah, we just opened a second location about a month ago.
Nice.
So I'm there about 4 days a week coaching classes, and then I have a handful of privates that I run out of there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good mix. So do you prefer the privates over the classes, or what do you like best? Or do you like the mix?
Yeah, I definitely like a mix. I have a handful of one-on-one clients that I
Hmm.
like working with, and trying to work with specific demographics of people. I try to spread it out so I get a little bit of everything in
Yeah.
terms of my clientele. It keeps me, focused, and like for example, I have one client right now. He has Huntington's disease,
Okay.
so he's kind of a very specific case.
Right. Yeah. Special
So
population.
yeah. So working with him, I get to tie in a lot of different techniques that I've kind of utilized throughout the years, but now I'm applying it to this specific case, and it's really interesting for me. I love being able to help somebody like him that really needs the help, and
Hmm.
trying to train somebody that has this disorder with his nervous system, and trying to apply different drills and techniques, and just seeing how he responds. And it's been pretty cool to apply for him both a movement-based approach, and then also something that is a bit more technical and isolated, and just seeing how he's been able to progress with little things over the years. For him, his goal is to just be able to walk well and not
Yeah.
fall, and like maintain balance. And so with somebody like him, it's definitely been an interesting journey. And then I have groups that I work with in the city, and those are the high intensity interval classes, which are fun. I mean, that one I get to target a larger demographic of people that are a bit young, same age as us. And the studio we have in the city, our focus in terms of the style of training,
Hmm.
it's what I would classify as like a skill-based HIIT studio. So everything is all barefoot training,
Nice.
matted floors. It's designed around obstacle course racing, so we have a lot of hanging stuff. So, for me, I walked into the space and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, even it's a group environment. Everything's still, in a group time-based format, but
Yeah.
I'm, given the opportunity to teach people how to move on the ground,
Yeah.
how to hang, and brachiate, and like they're learning these different skills, even though they may not be coming in for that experience
Yeah.
off the bat. They just want to come in and get a workout when they leave, and they realize like, wow, there's a lot of things in there I couldn't do very well. I'm
Yeah.
not very coordinated on the ground. I'm not, I can't hang for very long, but it keeps them coming back. And then the ones that have came back and find the value in it, they've progressed, over
Mhm.
the past, months. We've had clients for probably, upwards of a year now there. So it's been really cool. We utilize a lot of kettlebells. That's kind of the main modal or tool that we use in terms of weight.
Mhm.
So we're getting into like different kettlebell complexes, and I was actually a bit hesitant at first when I saw this structure. I'm like, this is too chaotic.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna kill themselves.
Really.
It just, when you have a group of people, and a lot of them are coming in for just a workout, a good
Mhm.
sweat, and I'm over here trying to teach them a kettlebell snatch.
Yeah.
Granted, we have levels and progressions and regressions for every station that we do there, but I was a bit weary at first. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if people can succeed in this environment and do it well and do it with quality.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed over the past, about a year, a little over a year being there, is that yeah, I mean, if you have good coaches around you, and they're kind of making sure that people are taking the necessary steps, not jumping the gun to the level 3 or level 4 movements, and really dialing in the details, then yeah, people will progress,
Oh,
and
for sure.
yeah, it's been cool to watch that.
Yeah, it just takes time and patience for sure.
It does.
And I really love the like the movement based, just kind of the more unconventional style of training.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's good to build a strong foundation, right? We have these
Yeah.
essential human movement patterns, and
Yeah.
they really are skills.
Yeah.
So I can see why you'd be wary people jumping into that situation too fast if they haven't maybe built up certain ranges of motion or whatever the
Right.
case may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely want to have that capacity. So I want to go back a little bit
Mhm.
and just start at the beginning of your journey.
Yeah.
What's been your journey with health and movement and fitness? Like, what's the beginning for you? Have you always
Yeah.
been an athlete, or tell me?
Yeah. This is something I think about like a lot in terms of movement. I think, us as beings, like as we get older, there are certain things that we are drawn towards and just continue to do. And for me, growing up as a kid, um, I always just enjoyed being outside.
Yeah,
Like, I was always outside. I was always playing in the yard. I was always, climbing shit, like climbing trees, climbing the fence, climbing the patio. Just
yeah,
I felt comfortable in those environments. It felt like where I belong. So I almost feel like the the point I'm at in my life wasn't even really a choice.
yeah,
It just was something embedded inside me.
yeah. Where'd you grow
Uh,
up at?
I grew up here in the Bay Area.
Okay,
So yeah, in a small town called Belmont, about 30 minutes south of San Francisco. Yeah, pretty much born and raised here.
okay,
And so growing up, yeah, as a kid, I have a younger brother, about 4 years apart. So had a partner in crime and also a competitor.
yeah,
Somebody to train with, and yeah. So growing up, we did a lot of playing. We did martial arts as a kid.
okay. What kind of martial arts were you
Just
into?
as a youth, let's see, I was probably about 5 or 6 years old when I started just Kempo karate.
Yep.
The,
Yeah, that's the path we all walk.
yeah, exactly.
Hell
Kind of
yeah.
entry level martial arts.
Absolutely.
Did that, and soccer was also my main sport growing up. So I played soccer pretty much all the way. Didn't play in college. Played like intramurals and continued playing competitively somewhat in college, but um, yeah, that was kind of stuck with me from the age of 5 to 20.
Yeah. So you've
Um,
always been active.
yeah. So always played soccer was my main thing. I probably stopped doing martial arts when I entered high school, which was one of my, looking back, like one of my bigger regrets, because I used to compete in like weapons tournaments as a kid.
Oh,
Like
that's
the bow
cool.
staff was my favorite tool, and yeah, did a lot of tournaments,
Nice.
with that when I was younger, and then I stopped just to put more focus and emphasis in soccer.
Yeah.
And then once I got into college, I moved down to Southern California. I lived in Long Beach, went to Long Beach State,
Nice.
and when I moved down there, I got into jiu-jitsu, and then I started competing in that for about 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
which was awesome. It was great, and actually, it's a funny story how I got into training jiu-jitsu. I came back I think it was during a break in college. It must have been my sophomore year, and my younger brother, who is now my bigger younger brother.
Oh yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, I'm not a big guy. I'm about 5'7", 165, and then my younger brother, he's He's like, I think close to 6 foot, about 175,
Okay,
180
he's
now,
more my
and
size.
very athletic. Yeah, very athletic build. And so I came home one break, and me and him were just wrestling. Right, we were just kind of wrestling around, and he was moving in ways that I didn't understand.
From wrestling?
Yeah, yeah. He had started training at a local gym here.
Oh, he was doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he started training some jujitsu and some stand up. And I think he'd been going for a few months. So he had a handful of like little moves, and
Yeah.
I was getting really frustrated. I was getting really frustrated. I was like, man, fuck this.
Even with that little
Like,
tool bag he had.
yeah, I was like, what is happening? So I think I got back into Long Beach on a Monday, and then I think Tuesday I went and found a jiu-jitsu gym, and I took my first class.
Nice.
And the academy Brazilian top team down in Long Beach. So
Yeah.
happened to be right down the street from where I was living. Uh, yeah, tried a week of classes, and I signed up,
Yeah.
and I
What
was
was that
sold.
first day like?
I mean, it's very humbling.
Did you get the role?
No, no, no,
No.
no. I didn't get to roll. It's kind of just humbling, you know, being in a world, on the ground that I didn't understand, and
Yeah.
realizing like, holy shit, there's like a whole other element of stuff, and it just kind of slowly began to open my eyes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I've always resonated with, I think, a movement-based practice.
Mhm.
Anything that, yeah, I mean, I really enjoy this word practice because it kind of you go in training into a practice without necessarily having this end result.
Yeah.
It's like you just go in, you show up, you put in the work, and then if you put in enough work, you'll get better.
Yeah.
And jujitsu, was great for me. I think it helped me in a lot of ways, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It kept me, out of trouble for the most part. When
Yeah.
I was in college, and then, I had my band of brothers that I trained with. Who, a lot of them I'm still really good friends with. So, yeah, I really miss those days, and that kind of segued. Doing jujitsu, I did a lot of yoga.
Yeah.
For recovery for competitions and stuff.
Mhm.
So it shifted me towards having another practice, and yeah, so that was kind of, I guess, the lead into my movement journey. Now, I guess circling back, when I was in high school, me and my brother also had a trainer. So this kind of leads back into my fitness journey.
Mhm.
And this guy that we worked with, this guy Doug Fiorinelli, and Doug's the man. Man, he is an OG in the game. He knows a lot, and I owe a lot of my knowledge with just unconventional training to him. He was a part of this group, My Mad Methods.
Okay.
So they were this. It was like a magazine back in the day.
Was it like a national magazine or was it like?
Yes, Mark DeGrasse was the main guy who ran the magazine.
Oh, really?
And
Never heard of it.
so they used to do a lot of stuff with unconventional tools. It was kettlebell.
Yeah.
It was like mace, club
Clubs,
bell.
yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff. So that kind of stayed with me when I was in college and I'm actually really, really grateful for having, that type of coaching experience before going into college, because you get into college and then you walk into the gym and it's just everyone's just broing out.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, a lot of
it's like
barbell.
every day is chest day, every day is barbell day. And
Yeah.
I mean, how is the guy grabbing kettlebells, taking them over to the treadmill, and just hitting interval circuits of like swings and cleans and sprints and more full body stuff that served me for the jiu-jitsu and
Oh yeah.
all the other things I wanted to do. So I didn't really get into any type of bodybuilding type training till after college, I feel like.
Okay.
Um,
So you're a little bit opposite. Like a lot of people's journey, at least mine, being
Yeah.
in the Midwest, it was that I played football and I wrestled in high school.
right.
It's doing that, that Olympic style, the four core, like, barbell lift. You got your squat, your bench.
Yeah.
Fucking, we did power cleans and I
Right.
think we did inclines. We didn't really do any deadlifts a whole lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so you had a very interesting journey as far as
Yeah.
when you got introduced to like the barbell.
Definitely. Like, we did a little bit of barbell stuff, the basic, deadlift, squat, bench, but it wasn't a focus or an emphasis of mine. I
Nice.
added it in, but I also just didn't enjoy it as much.
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes I have like more ADD when it comes to, keeping my attention with certain things. And it feels good to lift. Don't get me wrong. Like I still pick up a barbell. It feels great
Yeah.
to move weight. But growing up, I always resonated more with just this movement-based approach to training, whether it was with weights or whether it was
Yeah.
having a movement practice of some sort. So, um, yeah, I mean that was in college. I was also a kinesiology major,
Okay.
so that helped a lot.
When did you graduate school?
I graduated in 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, so got my bachelor's in exercise science. Was supposed to the original intended path was physical therapy.
Yep.
Worked.
Yeah, that was my journey as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Um,
That's funny.
it's yeah. So and that kind of led me. I worked in a clinic for a little bit, about a little over a year or so, and got to scope it out, and it just wasn't something that I felt like I would enjoy doing as much. I didn't really like the traditional clinical approach to rehab, and I also felt that the more I started to learn, I was like, I think there's a space, what I call this gray area that, or this bridge that needs to be kind of gap, or this gap that needs to be bridged
Yeah.
post PT and like pre reintegration back into society.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've met most of my clients, especially the past couple of years, um, coming out of physical therapy. Maybe they had knee surgery and they hit all their sessions and they're like trying to go back to they're like, oh, I want to ski in 3 months, or whatever activities they want to get back to. And I feel like there's definitely a space there that people don't know about. In terms of clientele, they don't realize like, well, you can't just go back into training how you were training.
Right.
And it's
No,
probably
yeah.
not the best approach. So I continue to dive deeper and deeper into research, and actually a lot of it stemmed from my own injuries because of jiu-jitsu. So I have jiu-jitsu to thank for a lot of things, but
Yeah.
the reason I stopped training was because the competitive kind of pace of it, I couldn't see myself continuing training at a competitive level and continuing to get hurt, and then also trying to help people
Yeah.
and rehab them. And there was actually a couple specific injuries that I had. I had a hip injury, and then like a neck. And the hip one kind of put me out for a while. It was about a month or 2 months of just like a period of my life where I was definitely concerned. I was like, there's got to be a better way
Mhm.
to do things. And so I dove into the, research and tried to look for resources that were out there.
Mhm.
Um, and I eventually came across FRC, functional range conditioning. So found that, and I thought that it definitely gave me some answers I was looking for in terms of a missing piece. Um, I think it's a really great piece to add in, and it's a foundation of a lot of stuff I do with certain clients of mine, at least to kind of test their baseline and see where they're at. So I started applying a lot of that type of work to myself, to clients, and it just kind of continued on that path.
Yeah, yeah. That FRC cert is really good. So that's, for the folks listening, that's by the Functional Range Anatomy series. Is that right?
Yeah, functional anatomy seminars.
Seminars. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Doctor. Yeah, Andrew Espina.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, no, it's good stuff. It's good
It's real
stuff.
good. Yeah, I think they have a class in April in Denver. That
Okay.
I'm gonna go do that one.
Yeah, awesome,
Yeah,
man.
it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
So when did you start seeing clients?
Coaching clients. I probably started coaching clients back in when I was in college.
Okay.
Yeah, I was working at a gym. I think this was back in 2008, 2009, I want to say.
Nice.
So yeah, I've been coaching people since. I actually started doing corporate wellness stuff. I know we're just chatting about the corporate world here.
Yeah.
Work for a little private gym in Long Beach, and they were starting this corporate wellness series. So yeah, I mean, it was an interesting, experience. It was great. I had this small little room, and I was given a handful of equipment, and I was like, make it happen.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.
Yeah, I think corporate wellness programs are so important. I think they're really underutilized. I don't know how great it would be from a training aspect to always have that bureaucracy involved, because
Yeah.
there's still a certain level of that for sure.
Definitely.
But man, like we were talking, I just ended this contract for 5 months, and I was working at a pharmaceutical company.
Uh-huh.
And man, you walk in this building, and it's just the walls are all fucking gray.
Right.
Nobody's happy. Everybody's stressed. I'm just like, man, you guys just really need to like get outside and just go for a walk and get some sunlight, man, and like,
Yeah.
like just breathe. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
it's
sure.
just such a crazy space. Yeah, so that's an interesting lens to kind of
Hmm.
enter the space in. You know, seeing the corporate wellness side of things. I don't think a lot of people actually see that.
Yeah, I mean it's a world that here being here in San Francisco now, it's something I'm trying to maybe get into a little bit more,
Yeah.
just because I feel like there's definitely a shift. People are, especially with the younger demographic of this is like a big tech hub, and there's a lot of young people here
Oh yeah.
that are working at these companies, that are starting to see like they need a little bit more physical activity in their life. But I think with the releasing of all this like information that's out there, there's a lot of ways that they can do things on their own, little things they can create. Like FRC has their cars, right? Their controlled articular rotations, which is just a step-by-step way to move each joint.
Yeah.
It's very simple,
Mhm.
and I think it's like a great baseline people should set for themselves every day.
Yeah.
Wake up, do this. So I think there's a huge opportunity to shed some light, with different things people can do just to help their bodies feel good. Because like
Yeah.
your body, the body's smart. The body's a lot smarter than any of us are,
Yeah.
and it's gonna get really good at whatever stimulus we apply it to. So if you're, sitting in a chair for 14 hours a day, you're gonna get really fucking good at sitting in a chair for 14 hours a day and develop,
Yeah.
chronic sitting patterns, and it'll lead to pain and
Mhm.
disease eventually. So I think just letting them know like, hey, there are things you can do every day that you should do maybe every hour,
Yeah.
for 5 minutes,
Mhm.
just to help bring your body back to a natural state, counteract all this stuff that you're doing to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think I would like to kind of I've done a couple walkthroughs at some companies here. There was this biotech company that I did a walkthrough and got to chat with some of the scientists, and just walking through the space, I was just blown away. I'm like,
Mhm.
man, this guy in 30 years, his spine's gonna be fucked.
Dude,
Like,
it's fucking
it's
crazy.
already fucked. And so I can only imagine in another 20, 30 years of
It,
just hunching over like this and
mhm.
looking through a microscope. I
Yeah,
mean,
dude, just all day they're constantly snacking on just chips and fucking candies and just drinking sodas, and
yeah,
it's just like, man, like there's just no way you can feel good. You know
yeah,
what I mean? There's just no way because I mean so many of our of our like neurochemicals are produced in our gut.
yeah.
So if you're eating shit food,
Hmm.
you are that's directly impacting how we interact with the world and how we feel. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna feel like shit. So it's I always tell people like you don't know how good you can feel until you feel it. You know what I mean? Because
100%.
like you said, the body's always searching for homeostasis. So it'll
Yeah.
find a way to be
Right.
okay.
Hmm.
But you don't really know how off you really are until you
Yeah.
get healthy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think training the mind first, or and you tell me if this is something that you have to deal with. Like a lot of times, it's like shifting people's mindset and the way they view training. You know what I mean?
Oh
Because
man, 100%.
like you said, there's a lot of ways to have a movement practice, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of ways to get in movement
Hmm.
and train and grow. But everybody kind of feels like if I don't fucking go into the gym for an hour and I don't feel like I'm dead afterwards and I didn't do anything.
Right.
And a lot of trainers will pride themselves on doing that, going in there
Yeah.
and killing their their clients or
Right.
their students or whatnot. It's like,
Yeah.
man, no, I don't like that's you have to like break that way of thinking first.
Yeah, no, I mean it's 100%, man. There's this term that I've been kind of playing with, or this phrase like microdose your mobility,
Yeah.
and especially in those like corporate worlds, because it's exactly what you said. Like you don't need to block out an hour and a half of time to
No.
train. It's like you have time in the day. You're gonna walk to go get a cup of water, go use the restroom. Like take 5 minutes to move your shoulders, or move
Mhm.
your spine, or move your hips, or get outside,
Yeah.
get some sun. I mean, yeah, besides physical movement, there's so many things that they can apply to their daily, lifestyle, and really make it a habit, make it something that is a non-negotiable for you.
Yeah.
And it's really easy. It's really easy to do. I think people just sometimes need to have that lens removed from, I need to go to work and then I leave work, then I go to the gym and then I go to, go from the gym, then I go home. It's like, no, man, you do this shit whenever you need to do it for
Yeah,
yourself.
incorporate it in your life.
Yeah, and I think it does go tie into what you were saying with the gut health, and you don't know what you don't know. So
Yeah.
if you don't know what it's like to feel good and to have, like, I know my body and I'm sure your body craves movement. You were just
Oh
saying you
man,
sat in a plane. It's like
you feel it,
you
dude.
feel it, and like now, like the Dolores Park. That's why I love coming here, because I can just sit in the grass and I can move around and feel grounded. And I think a lot of people just undervalue that. They don't understand the importance of it. So yeah, it's the mindset. I've been trying to shift it, even with current clients that I've had for a couple years. I had this new person yesterday. That was I'm actually probably going to pass her off as to somebody else, because it's just it's she's at a place right now where there are other people out there that can help her with the things that she's looking for, and I just honestly don't have the time to take on many new clients. But also the perspective shift is she's a bit further off
Yeah.
in her thought process and her approach, and it's not a knock on her. She's a great person. She was super sweet lady, but um, yeah, just learning to understand that the gym environment training isn't necessarily, it's not what training is.
Yeah.
Especially in a corporate setting. And I'm speaking of this other corporate facility gym that I work at. And then the redemption client that I had this morning to counter her was awesome, because she comes from a dance background and has like owned a Pilates studio. She was an athlete in most of her life, and she wants a movement-based approach to training. And so I get to do a lot of fun things with her, and she understands the value of all of it, and is just super into it. So, you start to kind of put that energy out there, and people will see what you do, and it'll resonate.
Yeah.
It'll resonate, and it's been happening more and more for me lately, which has been awesome. And even here at the park, I'll hang out here at Dolores, and people just see me doing stuff.
Yeah.
Or see the group of people and friends that I train with, and they'll come up like, hey, what is that?
Yeah.
I had this guy come up to me last week. He was like, "Hey, what is all this floor stuff you're doing? It looks like," he was, I used to wrestle, like years ago, and now he's like, "Oh, I can't do any of this stuff anymore. Like, I'm getting older. I'm 25." I was like, 25? I was like, "Bro, I'm 30."
Like, what are you talking about?
I was like, "And I'm getting younger. Like,
Exactly.
I couldn't do this stuff, 10 years ago."
I can't wait till I'm 40, bro. Like,
Yeah,
it's like the
100%.
games, man.
I know. It's I'm looking forward to it a lot. So, yeah, definitely shifting that perspective, I think, is what we're all here to do.
Yeah.
It's the world. I blame the world of fitness.
Yeah.
Is what it is, because fitness it's an aesthetic based industry.
Right.
And so when you have this entire industry based on feeding on people's insecurities, you're gonna breed not necessarily things that are that positive.
Right.
And people see something and they're like, "Well, I want to look like that." Well, so I don't give a fuck what you want to look like.
Yeah.
Why are you here? Like, what's your actual reason? Like, why do you want to look like that? What will that bring you? Well, tell me you want, more self-confidence, right? Well, I'll teach you to do some cool shit. Like, let's learn to maybe balance, or like let's learn to do some new skills. I have a 65-year-old lady who's never done a pull-up before, and I guarantee you she's going to get a pull-up by the end of this year.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because she's been, slowly putting in the work. And it wasn't an intended goal of hers off the bat. She just wanted to be fit. And I was like, well, let's set some foundations here, and then we'll just see how you respond. And then we'll progress as we go. And she's been progressing very quickly.
Nice.
I'm just like, holy shit. I was like, I think, you might get your pull-up at some point soon. First time ever, 65. It's like...
That's awesome.
So I think in the more value she sees, that she's been, seeing this as we've been progressing our training, and, from her previous style of training, which was just traditional gym stuff, sitting on a machine, maybe some cables, whatever. I mean, I have her on the turf. We're just in the open space the entire time.
Yeah, just
moving a lot of body weight. I have her doing a lot of locomotion stuff now recently as well, and so it's been awesome to see her like just move and move better and like continue to get better at moving and putting sequences together and then showing her friends. Like she'll tell me stories of like, yeah, I was at this party the other day and we were talking about some stuff and I showed him some stuff that we did. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Like that's self-confidence.
absolutely.
And it doesn't come from this aesthetic place. It comes from a place of I can do this shit and I can do it pretty well
Yeah.
and check it out.
Yeah,
Like
like she learned something about herself.
she did, yeah, yeah. And so, I think people, the buy-in factor for that is definitely a bit more. People have to be really willing to be comfortable with themselves.
Hmm.
I think, with the stuff that we do, it's not traditional per se,
Right.
and so it looks weird. And if you're doing weird things in quote unquote normal settings, you know, it takes a certain type of person. Like you have to just understand who you are.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely something I've really had to come to terms with being in Missouri. So,
Ah, yeah,
yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with Missouri, but it's a very conservative area.
yeah,
And so, like, one of the first things that sticks out to me, like being in San Francisco, is just like how eclectic everybody is.
yeah.
Just a wide range of people, just everybody doing their thing, right?
Right.
Um, like me, like in Missouri, like I stick out, like just with like a man bun. It's just
Right.
like just super chill all the time. So like growing up in that environment, that was
Right.
definitely something like I really had to learn and kind of come to terms with. And it's a very freeing experience to like accept who you are and just to be that person.
Yeah.
Like my girlfriend and I, we were sitting in the airport on the way here, and I'm just fucking out in the middle of the aisle, like in deep squat, like
Right.
like stretching out my
Yeah.
hips, dude. Like I had
Oh
to do
yeah.
it, man.
Yeah.
Just had
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
move, and yeah, I think that's an important first step.
Yeah. 100%. And it takes a level of, it's work. It's work to get to that place, right? Because you have to
Yeah,
start asking yourself questions,
yeah.
and then you have to answer those questions.
Mhm.
And in order to get to that place, I mean, I look at my personal journey too with a lot of this stuff, and yeah, I mean, I've never really been that afraid to be the weirdo in the gym. I
Yeah.
think uh, it's kind of always it's been there, and then now even more so, I take pride in it.
Yeah, we're the best people, dude. We're the best.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love it because what it does, it'll spark curiosity, and then when people kind of see the things you're doing, it's not that they don't want it, they're maybe afraid to ask how to get it,
Yeah.
and afraid of the process, or like that's not for me, that's for you young guys or whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone has an excuse, and
Whatever the excuse is.
my goal is to just create the conversation. Like
Yeah.
I'm not there to sell people. I'm just there to have, maybe somebody comes up and asks a question, and I'm like, I can give you a genuine answer, and then I can show you a couple things,
Right.
and then from there it progresses. So, I do, my goal is to help build a confidence in people with a lot of this stuff, and like, the most complex tool that we have to train ourselves is ourselves,
Absolutely.
and the more in tune we can we can become with that, it's just gonna translate to everything else. And it's easy to get wrapped up in this lifting culture or bodybuilding culture or traditional training culture of just AMRAP this, or
Mhm.
I'm gonna chest press that,
Yeah,
or
dude.
backfly this. It's
Yeah, yeah. There's so many ways to train.
yeah, and it's yeah. What is that actually? Like, are you getting better at something? Like, if you're gonna invest the time, what are you getting better at?
Right.
Are you just getting better at sitting on that chair and pressing this weight? But you can't hold this quadruped position for 30 seconds? Like,
Yeah.
it's. I think those skills need to balance out for me, and I think once that perspective is placed on people, they will understand.
Yeah.
I think it's just they don't. It's a lack of information, lack of education, and that's why I'm here. That's what I want to present.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And I think you do a great job of actually, like living your purpose and just being a shining example of that. Um, just how we're sitting here today, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we connected through Instagram. Like
Yeah.
I saw, kind of what you're doing, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I could feel like it felt genuine even
Yeah.
through your post. And I'm like, dude, I
Awesome.
want to reach out to that guy and like meet
Yeah.
him and hear your story. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
So I think you're doing a great job of that.
Yeah.
And it's amazing just being out in the park and just
Mhm.
doing your thing, like how many conversations that creates. Like
Yeah.
I go to the park all the time. I do a lot of mace work, so I'm
Yeah,
always out
yeah.
there like swinging my mace and whatnot. And it just one time I had this lady. She was out there with her kids.
Hmm.
She had like a little girl, and they were doing a photo shoot, and they were doing Moana theme.
Oh,
And I have
nice.
like this big like tattoo on my chest, and like it's Polynesian like tribal. It goes
Right.
on my arm. And she like stopped at like what I was doing, and she's like, "Will you please take a picture with my daughter?" And like I had my mace, so I just like
That's awesome.
totally fit into the theme of
Yeah,
their
yeah, yeah.
workout.
That's
So
perfect.
yeah, dude, I think it's awesome what you're doing, brother. So whenever you're working with a new student and you're coaching them, how do you like to train that mindset? Like how do you like to approach that?
So like currently now I've kind of just established myself as being that person. Like if you're coming to me for training, this is what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
In the corporate setting that I work at, corporate gym setting, there's a lot of like client referrals and whatnot. But I mean, I have basically just, you know, people see me in there and they see what I do, and so I'm not at a place right now where I'm looking for more clients there.
Mhm.
And the ones that I do work with here in the city, my one-on-ones, they all kind of know what they're gonna get. So I don't really, I've kind of stopped, you know, giving into people's needs, because as the client, like they don't know what they want. Like
Right.
they think they know, but it's like my literal job is to tell you what you need.
Yeah, because they're just gonna tell you, oh, well, I want to tone up and
Right.
lose. It's like, well, what does that
What
mean?
does that mean? Yeah, I was like, well, let's try some things and see how well you do at them, and then if you don't do that well, and then we should probably work those things.
Yeah.
So, um, for example, yeah, I've been adding in some more coordination and rhythm work for some of my clientele, and these clients anywhere from their mid 40s to mid 60s,
Yeah.
and we'll be doing some stuff, and a handful of them they don't even really question me anymore, but they'll ask like out of curiosity, like, oh, like what is this for?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, like you see how you can't really do this very well? I'm like, this is basic coordination work.
Yeah.
And so this will translate to a lot of things in your life that, is you're not going to see right now. It's not going to be this like 1+1 relationship. Um, or the measurable results are different, right? Versus like you load a barbell, you progressive overload for enough weeks, like you're going to see the numbers go up.
Right.
But this stuff is, I'm trying to, integrate stuff into your nervous system
Yeah.
and things that are vital, like, hand-eye coordination. You're getting older. Like, how well do you get up from the floor without using your hands, with using your hands?
Mhm.
Are you efficient? Like, these different things. And they totally, like, see the value in it, and they have become, they have come to a place where they truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'm getting videos and I'm getting stories and like, they're showing their friends, and it's happening more and more with these people I've been working with that I've had for a couple years. And the ones I've had for 2 years, their perspective has definitely shifted since they've been with me. And what's been cool is, you know, them going from this, or I guess our relationship going from a trainer-client relationship to more of a student coach or teacher perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the biggest things that I try to instill with my clientele now is because it's a different mindset when you come into the session.
Yes.
And you get more, I feel like, each person gets more out of the session, and I'm here to teach people because
Mhm.
once the information is released, it's like that shit is yours. You
Yeah.
take it, you use it whenever you need it. Like,
Absolutely.
you come back to me and you say, "Oh, my back feels funky today," and I'm like, "Cool. Well, did you do any of the stuff that we've done the past 2 years?
Yeah.
To try to make it feel better? Maybe you slept funny. Maybe you've been sitting too long. Like, I don't know, what you've been doing, but what have you done to reset yourself before you come to me with questions? And then if it's lingering or if it's something that's been there for a little bit, then we can go in and hone in on it. But just I think that mindset alone has been awesome. And like, I've been telling like, yeah, microdose your mobility,
Mhm.
add it in when you need it. Like if you've been driving for a long time and you're going to fill up gas, do some hip rotations like at the gas pump. Do some scap rotations, like whatever you need. You know your body better than I do. And so that's been a really awesome shift for me to see. And if I do end up taking on any new clients, they kind of are already coming to me, having some general knowledge of like what I do and how I train.
Yeah.
Um, I got to work with a high school varsity rowing team 2 days ago,
Okay. What was that like?
and that was really awesome. I think it was a great experience. with these kids, because here you have a group of athletes. I actually worked with their coach on a handful of things, and he was like, yes, like my kids need this. I'm like, yeah, man, let's do it, bring it in. So um, it's great in those environments because these kids are there to work. Their coach is there telling them, you guys need to do this. This is going to make you better at what you do. And so they were attentive. They put in the work. I actually texted him today, the coach, and I was like, hey, how the kids feeling? They're like, some kid asked, Coach, what did we do with our bodies the other day? Like,
They have no
they
idea.
had no idea. Mind's blown, like all this weird soreness and like
Hmm.
their joints. And I was like, man, that's awesome. And, that's the type of change I want to try to influence now moving forward is working with these bigger kind of demographics and populations as well, like athletic teams or groups of other coaches. I've been teaching more workshops with just other trainers.
Hmm.
Being present at the corporate gym, I'm doing some of their education stuff now. And it's been awesome because, I go into this room and I get a handful of 30 trainers and I forget what it's like to be, I forgot. I step in the room and I'm like, oh man, like, yeah, that was me,
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah, you're on the
Um,
other side now.
yeah, and it's been cool to kind of just break that process down and you kind of see the light bulbs turn on as you instill certain principles because they think they're going to go in and get exercises from me. They're like, oh, I'm going to go in, I'm going to learn all these cool exercises.
Hmm.
And I'm like, no, I'm here to teach you some principles and some, philosophy and,
Yeah.
just get you to start asking questions.
Yeah.
Why are you doing what you're doing? What is the minimum effective dose,
Hmm.
for this? And, what is your client, what is your purpose for your client? Are you just, is your client walking in to you and telling you like, hey, let's hit back today? or or are they showing up and just ready to work, not not even going to question whatever you're going to put them through,
Hmm.
unless they're generally willing to learn. So I think even shifting that perspective with the wave of new coaches coming in is an area I'd like to also have some influence.
Yeah, I think having that using the right terminology and shifting that perspective where it's not just trainer client, it's coach student.
Yeah.
I think that's real important. So I also teach jujitsu.
I was just gonna say you probably see that every day.
Yeah, man. And so I actually work predominantly. I help with the kids program,
Yeah.
and so a lot of what we're talking about. So the main professor, Tracy Taylor, he's a first degree black belt,
Hmm.
and he's always saying he's like we're teaching you jujitsu principles,
Right.
so that way you can go and you can apply these,
Yeah.
and build your own game. You know what I mean? It's like
Hmm.
it's the same with fitness. You know what I mean? It's like I
Yeah.
want to teach you these principles, so that way when I'm not there, because I
Hmm.
won't be there all the time, like you're able to take these and apply these into your own practice and grow and learn. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Definitely.
and learn who you are and how to take your own journey into your own hands.
Yeah. No, I mean 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why the martial arts setting is it's the best.
Yeah, yeah.
Things that have been around for thousands of years is the reason they're still around.
Yeah, yeah. Are you familiar with Pavel Tatsulin?
Yeah.
The strong first. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
real big on that
Oh yeah.
terminology. He's like,
Yeah.
we don't call it working out; it's training.
Yeah.
And I'm a coach, and you're my student.
Yeah.
So I think that's real important.
It is. It is. I mean, because in this world now, like people, I think it's also like a Western culture kind of mindset of just, everything is scheduled, everything is crammed in, and so
Yeah.
it's like I have 45 minutes to get a workout in,
Yeah.
and so it's like, well, okay. Like,
All right.
I mean, maybe you're doing the bare minimum, but you could also be doing your body a lot more harm than good, depending on like the state you're in. If you're just going in to try to hammer a class at like a Barry's boot camp or something, or
Right. Yeah.
and just I think people's measure of what is a good workout, right? They measure it in sweat equity. It's like I had a great sweat,
Right.
took an hour spin class, I sweat my ass off, like it was great, it's the best
Go sit in
workout.
the
It's like
sauna if you want
it's
to
like
sweat,
you've been
bro.
sitting all fucking day. Now you're gonna go sit in a spin bike for another hour and like
Yeah, like that's not doing anything.
right, like how what is your body getting better at doing? So it's tough. I mean, it's a big culture kind of that we're trying to go up against. It is somewhat of an uphill battle, but I think there's people out there that will, resonate with the information and they will take it and it will truly change lives in that regard. And
Yeah.
then, the people that aren't there, they'll either eventually come around. There's this thing I like to kind of sometimes tell people is, I feel it to be somewhat true, is like most people, if not all people, like they have their breaking point. And whether it's with maybe they've just been eating terribly for 50 years,
Yeah.
right? Or less, 20 years, let's say. And, they become, get overweight, they develop some type of chronic disease. You hit this point where it's like you have to make a decision. Do you want to spend the rest of your life, dealing with medication and being in a hospital, or do you want to take a bit more of a holistic approach and change the way you eat, start to move your body a little bit more? It could be simple. For most
Yeah.
people, it doesn't have to be a whole lot, especially
Yeah.
off the bat. But those little things will, create, I think, lasting change over time. And I see it like my dad is 60, so like his population of people, they're starting to get to this point where it's like, oh, I'm old. I can't do those things anymore. Or,
I hate
I'm
that
old.
mindset.
Yeah, and yeah.
You're not old.
You're not old. Yeah, you're not old. And then I talked to this other guy today. He's 75, and, he comes in. He's like, he's happy every day, and
Oh,
he's
killing it,
moving and
crushing it.
grooving. Yeah, and I was like, hey, Terry, like, what's up, man? Like, you look like, you're in a good mood. He's like, man, any day you're 75 like me, and you wake up and you're feeling good, it's a good day.
Yeah.
I was like, but that's the mindset you need to be in this space.
Right.
Right? It's two completely different mindsets. And I hear it all the time. Is like, people making excuses. Like, well, you're only making excuses because you haven't actually tried to go seek information.
Yeah.
You're limited to what you know, and once you can understand that and see that there's resources literally all around you. I'm talking about people in the corporate gym that I work at. I'm like, there's literally resources standing everywhere.
Yeah.
It just takes, a conversation. Go ask a question.
Yeah.
Check the ego.
That's a hard one.
Check the ego, especially with the male population. It's like,
Oh yeah.
It's a thing. So, but I feel like everyone has their breaking point. They get to a place and they see like, man, you're so flexible. You must have always been like that. It's like, no, dude, I fucking works for this shit. Like,
Yeah, it takes
I'm
time.
currently working at it. And
Yeah.
it's like, maybe, I mean, have you tried anything? Have you tried taking a yoga class? Have you tried applying anything else besides, the traditional style of training that you're doing? So, it's tough. I mean, shifting the mindset, and we're not going to shift it for everybody.
Right.
Can't have that expectation.
Right. Yeah, I think you just kind of have to get to the point to where it's like, I feel like in the beginning, a lot of young coaches, they want to have as many students as they can, as many clients as they can. So they're taking everybody. They're taking
Right.
everybody. But you get to a point to where it's just like, well, this is my philosophy. This is how I train.
Yeah.
This is what I'm teaching you.
Mm-hmm.
Either you fucking are gonna listen,
Yeah.
or don't.
Yeah.
And if you don't, cool. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong.
Yeah.
It just means that maybe there's somebody better suited to help you.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And
No.
I think you just have to understand that and lay that foundation, and the rest will fall into
Yeah.
place.
No, definitely.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome, dude. I'm getting cold. I'm not gonna lie.
It's getting a little
Yeah.
chilly.
A little chilly. A little chilly. Cool, dude. So we're almost at an hour.
Oh.
We can probably wrap this up.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting cold.
Yeah.
But
No worries, man.
I really appreciate you talking to me, and this has been a fucking awesome conversation.
It's been great, man.
So I want to leave the floor to you.
Uh-huh.
Anything that you want to plug? How can folks get a hold of you?
Yeah. I mean,
whatever you'd like to talk about.
yeah. I mean, we talked about social media. It's
Yeah.
and it's a weird world out there.
Isn't it, dude?
So for those in social media land, I struggle with like having to post stuff on there, and it's just I'm more of an in-person type of guy. Like Adam reaching out to me. At first I was like, oh, I don't know.
What
like,
was that like? Let's pause for a second. Yeah. What's it like just to have some random dude just like hit you up on Instagram and be like, hey, bro, you want a podcast?
No, I mean, you know what? It's the first time it's ever happened. So I was
Yeah.
just like, okay, this is kind of cool. Like, and then I saw your stuff, and you can tell, like, we're gonna have a good conversation.
Yeah.
Like, it's just based off the post. So that was that was already, made it less weird.
Yeah. I always just try like, man, I just want people to feel comfortable. Like I
Yeah.
just like I'm not a killer. Like
Right,
I'm
right,
not trying
right.
to do anything weird. I
Yeah.
just want to talk to you.
Why do you think we met at Dolores Park, man?
Yeah, it's
Public
totally
space.
public, bro. We can't. You gotta keep it safe.
I'm strategic.
Oh, I understand.
No, 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 but no, no. I mean, honestly, your approach was great. Like, there is nothing uncomfortable about it, and yeah, I honestly appreciate you reaching out. It was yeah,
Yeah, dude.
been awesome, and oh, speaking of Mace, my boy Leo Savage.
Yeah. So Leo's the shit. I'm training with him this whole month.
You are? Oh,
Yeah. So
nice.
he's doing his online certification.
Okay, okay.
And he did the beta group
Yeah.
this month. So
Okay. Awesome.
so normally I think the package, I think he's selling it for like $1,800.
Yeah.
So it's $1,000.
Okay, nice.
And the package includes, so there's 2 coaching calls a week, and really now there's like 4 because there's a couple people
Okay.
in Asia,
Okay.
and so the coaching calls are at 11 a.m. Central,
Yeah.
and I think it's like midnight at their time. So he's doing one at 11 and one at like 6 p.m. on
Okay.
2 days a week,
Okay.
and then you get 1 coaching call a week. And then you get all the online content, and then you also get an in-person workshop.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
All for like
Awesome.
$1,000. And he's
Dude.
just such a cool ass dude.
My man.
Yeah,
Leo Savage.
You trained with Leo?
Yeah, dude. Leo's the homie, man. Leo's the homie. He's been a great friend, a great teacher. Yeah, I have a lot of love for Leo.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we were all connected through the Onnit community. John and Shane, have all been great to me over the years, and it's a truly awesome community. I've met a lot of great people,
Yeah.
through them, and continue to just try to. I mean, I was hanging out I did steel mace with Shane like a month ago in New York at
Nice.
Solace.
Oh, you went up to Solace and did
Yeah,
that?
yeah, and then me and Leo, we stayed. Leo was there. Yeah, we stayed together in Manhattan. That was my first time out in New York, which was awesome. So had a good little crew to hang out with.
Hell
and
yeah, dude. So what took you out there? You just went out there just for that, like you
Um,
as a student, or like
yeah, so-
what capacity did you go for that?
I mean, there was a few layers. So like the corporate gym I work at, I'm starting to write and teach some education for them. So
Okay.
I was able to. I actually I hadn't taken steel mace from. I've taken Leo's steel mace workshop 3 times.
Okay.
And I hadn't taken on it. And so any opportunity to hang out with Shane and all those guys.
Yeah, they're a great crew.
Yeah, and then I have another friend, Coach Sarah. She's total badass. Coach at Epic, hybrid in New York, and also coach at Solace. So I had a lot of reasons to go, hang out there, and just had some friends to do all the fun things with. And yeah, so that was a great trip. But yeah, me and Leo have been connected for a little bit. What else? Yeah, I mean, just the whole community aspect of all this too is what I really enjoy. I'm sure for you, coaching jiu-jitsu, and when I was training, it's like the people that you go train with, you go to war every day on the mat, and you leave the mat shaking hands, and they're your best of friends.
Oh yeah.
And
Family.
there's something, there's something like really powerful about that type of community
Mhm.
within training, and I've been very, very fortunate to now have that here in San Francisco with my coach and my community. Through the Ito Portal method,
Yes.
San Francisco movement practice, and my coach Johnny Sapinoso, the man, the myth, the legend himself. And when I first moved back to the Bay Area, I was definitely like mildly depressed because I had left Southern California where I had all these people
Mhm.
and a community, and I was that's all I was searching for when I came back here, and it was a community of movement practitioners, and I was bouncing around at circus gyms and
Mhm.
different areas, and there were things, but I didn't, it wasn't what I was like looking for. And lo and behold, one day I saw Johnny at the park, and a month later get a message he's starting this group, and I haven't looked back since, and I don't think I will.
Yeah, dude, that's dope. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful community.
Yeah.
Community is so important just as humans. Like, we need each other.
Yeah.
I love that with the jiu-jitsu community, being able to go anywhere in the world. And
Yeah.
if you have a gi, you can pretty much find a gym to go roll in.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But I'm learning that with especially this movement community and, like, just this unconventional training.
Yeah.
it's not a huge community.
Right.
So like as I'm like learning and meeting people and making connections, like I'm
Yeah.
just finding out like everybody's connected. Like how
Yeah.
you know Leo, and then who fucking just knows who else knows whoever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just cool to for me like entering the community just to
Hmm.
to meet everybody and just grow the network.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And I think that's why we're sitting here today. I think it's a great note to end it on, is community.
Yeah, dude, it's a beautiful thing. All right.
So for those out there in social media land, feel free to reach out. If you're in San Francisco, hit me up. I'm usually around. I'm usually rolling around the grass at Dolores. Yeah, yeah, and thank you, man.
Yeah,
Really
absolutely, brother.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
and I'll have all your things and all your links in the show notes so people can click and just get a hold of you easy.
Okay.
Is Instagram the best way to get a hold of you,
Yeah, I
or
mean
Twitter, Facebook? What do you prefer?
Instagram's the best. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'm on there frequently, and as little as I post on my feed, I post on my stories a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to definitely communicate and connect with me. So
Hell yeah, brother. Well, hey,
cool.
again, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
all right, everybody. Until next time.
All right, thanks, guys.